Good afternoon, Mark Studd with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane HD video blog for Saturday, the 18th of August, 2012. Tropics getting a lot busier, as you have probably heard. Have a tropical wave sitting right in here. A very large envelope of energy with a developing low pressure area here. This is 94L. Here's Hurricane Gordon. We'll take a different look at that in a moment. It's got an impressive eye considering that it's over marginal sea surface temperatures. Just goes to show that if you have at least marginal water temperatures, 80 degrees or so, but a really good environment to support a system, you can get a hurricane over marginal conditions. Over here is the mess associated with what was Tropical Storm Helene, now just a depression. Here's a infrared satellite picture, a little bit of a donut hole trying to form here overall. That ring around the eye, some deeper convection there with strong winds. This is a hurricane, but it's not very deep in the atmosphere, so you don't have those reds surrounding the center, so it's a little bit shallower, a lot like Irene was last year perhaps, maybe a little stronger since it is better organized at this point, but nonetheless it is headed towards the Azores Islands. It'll track through the Azores here in the next couple of days, and could bring hurricane conditions, but it should weaken, hopefully, before it gets there. And then there's just the slightest of chances that it'll just continue and go on into the Iberian Peninsula here of Spain and Portugal. I doubt it would still be a tropical cyclone, but it's not impossible. You got to keep in mind that the Canary Current runs along the west coast of Africa and certainly off the coast of Spain and Portugal. Water is much colder than where Gordon is now. In the Gulf, where water temperatures are very warm, mid to upper 80s all throughout this region, we do have the leftovers of TD7 that became Helene that might try to pop out over water again somewhere down here over the next few days. A fairly substantial rain hazard down here, not very well organized, so you don't have the big spiral banding rain showers, so it's not a tremendous flood threat. These rain squalls and convective activity over Louisiana and Florida, just part of your summertime pattern. In the eastern Atlantic, the pattern changing there so that we can expect some development slowly, but surely. This is now up to 50% for probability of developing into a tropical cyclone in the next 48 hours. 94L is the label given to it. The Hurricane Center assigns these numbers, 90 through 99, and then they use them again to sort of initiate conditions when we have an area of suspect weather. They initialize computer models with those numbers. It's just a way to keep track of what's what. A nice, easy methodology. If it was in the Eastern Pacific, it would have the letter E, in the Western Pacific, the letter W, the letter L for Atlantic. Looking at vorticity associated with 94L, kind of weird shaped out here, the spin. I'm looking for it to be round, like you see up here with Gordon, and even to some extent here with Helene, a round shape to the vorticity maximum. This is sort of, like an amoeba or whatever. You have a lot of energy spread out over a fairly large area. It has not consolidated yet, so I'm going to be looking for that in the next couple of days, and as this progresses west. A nice product here from the University of Wisconsin. The GFS model from today's morning run, this is valid tomorrow morning. There is that vorticity. We're looking at 850 millibars in the atmosphere, about 5,000 feet. And watch what happens with this. There's Gordon, getting ready to go through the Azores here. But here is 94L, and then just a tiny little piece of energy left over here from Helene. So here's 48 hours, so this will be Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. We see how the vorticity starts to isolate and become better defined with 94L. Possibly by this time, Tropical Storm Isaac, hopefully not stronger than that, right? Because look, it's headed right for the Lesser Antilles here, according to this run, as fairly strong and potent high pressure in the low to mid levels, deep layered high pressure situated in the Atlantic. And that keeps it from turning north and northeast. This is a big mountain of air sitting out here, and that's what's going to steer this generally off to the west. Then here at day 5, pretty intense little system by this point. The vorticity consolidated pretty well. This is just showing me that we might have a fairly potent system by this time, obviously if the model is correct in its depiction. Other areas trying to develop farther back to the east. And you don't really see much going on in the Gulf here with the leftovers of Helene, which is just fine and dandy with those folks, I'm sure. Then here at day 6, starting to impact very close to Puerto Rico, Hispaniola after moving through the Lesser Antilles. So you folks there need to pay real close attention to this. Even if it's a strengthening tropical storm moving through your region, that is nothing to mess with. You remember, I think it was Earl, and then Irene to some extent last year. When those things strengthen moving over the top of you, it's a lot different. The wind is much stronger, the downburst of wind, the heavy stabs of showers, that tropical rainfall, everything just seems to be enhanced when it's intensifying. And here at day 6 we see a very nice vorticity signature, very round, lots of energy and spin in the atmosphere. Again, here's that big ridge sitting up here keeping this tucked down in the Northeast Caribbean Sea. At day 7 we're getting pretty far out here in time, yes, but I did want to at least take a peek out to day 7. Strong ridge still sitting out here. This starts to get tangled up with Hispaniola, so yeah, we'll see. If it goes to the north of those islands, then it could not start to unravel. Obviously, if it does not interact with land too much, it could stay stronger. The Euro, though, does keep this fairly weak and just kind of cruises it right on in towards the Gulf of Mexico, being a much shallower system. The GFS has been pretty consistent with its indication that this will strengthen, so we'll have to see how that works out. At that same time frame, if we go up another level, if you will, to the 500 millibar level, we also see it stacked up there. So you got it at the surface with the surface low. The 5,000 foot vorticity is good, and then the 500 millibar, or 18 to 20,000 foot vorticity is good. So we see it stacked up like a cake. So there's my cake. And nice and round. It's not tilted. You don't have some stuff here and some vorticity here and some vorticity over here where the whole thing is tilted with height. This shows me that it's fairly well vertically stacked, meaning that it could be a pretty potent system at this time. Sitting right there, anticyclonic flow around it. That's a fanning out of the clouds. If it was a satellite picture that I could show you right now, unfortunately we don't really have that capability yet. What does the satellite picture look like out in a week? There's some indications that models are trying to go that way, but it would show most likely a fanning out of the clouds, not being all torn off in one direction. You see an upper level low to the northeast of it to help evacuate that energy. Interesting. Oftentimes we see those in adjacent to strong hurricanes. Will it be a hurricane? You're going to have to stay tuned. I don't know the answer. You would think that it could, since at the time of the year we're entering, water temperatures warm, the environment getting better. We'll see. You folks there in the Lesser Antilles would be first up to have to deal with it if indeed it were to track in your direction. Still about 5 days away before that happens. Alright, there you are. You're caught up to date here for this Saturday. I'll be back again tomorrow. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. A pleasure to produce these videos for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. We'll talk again tomorrow.